The reason I'm making this video is because a lot of people have seen the Mac Pro, and they've gone, look how small it is. They've gone, look how little you can upgrade it, and they've said, wow, that really must not be a very powerful computer. Hey, what's up guys, I'm Jacob Kau, I'm into the streets, and today we are talking about the new Mac Pro. The new Mac Pro that hasn't officially been released yet. If you go to Apple's website, it says coming later this year, which is interesting because a couple months ago the website actually said coming this fall. So, you know, something happened somewhere within Apple, and this has been delayed. And the Mac Pro line has been delayed before. If you don't know, the Mac Pro is Apple's professional workstation line of computers. In the past, the only couple differences have been that the Mac Pro was Apple's only tower. Sort of like, the Mac Pro evolved from the Power Mac, which you can kind of see maybe back there is what is hosting my website. But yeah, basically, you know what a tower is. It's the computer box that everything is like inside of. The hard drives, the motherboard, the processor, everything goes inside the case, which is like, I'll put a picture of the tower up. I know it seems like something obvious, but some people out there watching this video really might not know what a tower is. So, yeah, the Mac Pro traditionally has been Apple's tower. It's been intended for professionals, and like real professionals. It starts at like $2,000, and basically the only reason in the past someone would have gotten a Mac Pro would be for one of two reasons maybe. One is expandability. Because the Mac Pro is a tower, unlike the laptops that they sell or unlike the Mac Mini, you can actually open the Mac Pro up and you can swap out hard drives, swap out RAM. I think that really advanced people can actually swap out the processors. I know that's not too advanced, but yeah. You can basically swap out any part of the Mac Pro, the optical drives, you name it. So the first reason that professionals might want the Mac Pro is for that ability to upgrade internally. Now the other reason is because the Mac Pro, unlike everything else, uses a true workstation or server class processor, whereas everything else uses Intel Core processors, Core i5 or i7. The Mac Pro uses Intel's Xeon processors, which, like I said, is their server class processor. Basically, the Xeon processors are pretty much just as powerful as the Core processors, except they are able to be used and left on for longer periods of time, and still be stable. Like you can have, you know, your normal computer you might need to restart every couple days, but if you're using a server or if you're doing serious work on a workstation, then you're going to need to leave these computers on for sometimes weeks at a time, at least. The Xeon processors are able to be left on for way longer periods of time and not lose stability, and that means that I think that means you're not getting as many errors or stuff. Basically, the Xeon processors are designed to not have downtime. And that's why people buy the Mac Pro. Like I said, in the past, the Mac Pro has been a tower. I'll be throwing some pictures up on the screen here. And it's kind of been aluminum, and it's actually pretty big. It's just a full-size tower. Pretty nice design. Same design as the Power Mac G5 was. So like I said, one of the big reasons people buy Mac Pros is because they want to be able to upgrade the computer, to put more stuff in it, and you know, upgrade the stuff that's already in it, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Well, Apple has announced, like I said, the new Mac Pro coming later this year. I'm hoping it comes later this year, because, you know, there's been rumors for years that they're just going to discontinue the whole line. And the new Mac Pro, if you look at a picture of it, the first thing you notice is it's round. The new Mac Pro is a cylinder. And first of all, let me just say, I think that is freaking awesome, like, just because it's cool. I don't know. There's no specific reason why the case has to be a cylinder, other than the fact that it's just cool. But if you scroll down on the page, alright, so this thing is 10 inches tall and 6.5 inches wide. So when you first see this, you're going to think of this big cylinder that you can still put hard drives and stuff in. But in reality, this new Mac Pro that is replacing a full tower size, which is like this big, literally. This new Mac Pro that's replacing this is now going to be about like this wide across, about this tall. And that is absolutely huge. Like, just that evolution. Now, obviously, Apple is going out on a limb here. This is not something that is a trend. Dell, HP, you know, all the big name companies, they're not doing this. They're focusing on tablets. And Apple's focusing on tablets as well. But, yeah. In terms of their Pro line, they are doing this stuff that they're completely doing things no one else has done before, which I support. That's how we get great products, but just, yeah, the fact that they're that size, you know, something has to be different. Obviously. Something has to change. And I'm going to make sure I'm recording right now. I always have to check mid-recording just to make sure we're still going. So, something has to change. What is it? The Mac Pro is still going to be the most powerful Mac you can buy. Some might argue that it's not right now, actually, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The processor is still going to be the Intel Xeon processor. I'm just glancing over here so I know I've got the right stuff, but I've looked at this before. It's still going to be the Xeon processor. It's going to be the updated Xeon processors, which it has not been for like 5 years. So finally getting the newest Xeon processors up to 12 cores, which is the same as you can get today. So processors aren't really changing, except for, you know, the fact that they're updated, which is going to exponentially make the whole system better. RAM, you're still using RAM chips, traditional RAM chips. This is not like a tablet where the RAM is soldered onto the board. You still have physical RAM slots. You can still physically open up this case and pop RAM in and out, just like you would have with the older Mac Pro. Where things start to get different, and these are some flashy graphics, I highly suggest you head on over to Apple's website and check this out. But, alright, graphics cards, this is where things really start getting different. Traditionally, there's two types of graphics. There's dedicated graphics cards, and there's integrated graphics. Integrated graphics, like in the Mac Mini, if you get a Mac Mini, no matter how powerful it is, it's going to have Intel HD 4000 graphics, which are not that great. They're just baseline graphics, enough to get a monitor connected to the computer. Now, graphics cards, on the other hand, you know, powerful. Powerful enough for professionals to do whatever it is that they do with these. Now, the new Mac Pro, depending on how you want to look at it, has integrated graphics. Obviously, this is for graphics professionals. It's for professionals of all fields, but graphics professionals are going to be using this. Why would they put integrated graphics in here? Well, these are not like Intel HD graphics. These are not ATI Radeon graphics. And actually, the old Mac Pro, the one that's out right now, has ATI Radeon graphics. The current Mac Pro, although it has a workstation class processor, only has a regular desktop class graphics card. It does not have workstation graphics. This new Mac Pro, the graphics chips will not be on a card that you can swap out. The graphics chips will physically be soldered onto the motherboard or connected however they do it. It will physically be a chip on the motherboard, the same motherboard as the RAM plugs into and the processor and everything else. You will not be able to put another graphics card or change the graphics card on this computer. However, it's not, like I said, it's not the crap integrated graphics. This is true workstation graphics. This is AMD, is it FirePro? Yeah, AMD FirePro graphics. It's got dual GPUs, so it's not just one of these. It's basically the same as having two workstation class graphics cards in your computer. The only difference is they took them off of the card and just put them right onto the motherboard. Like I said, workstation graphics, 6 gigabytes of video RAM. Most people have like 2. So keep that in mind. Even though it's not on a card anymore, even though this is not upgradable, you cannot upgrade these graphics, they are still the most powerful graphics you can get, basically. I'm not saying they're the most powerful graphics in the world. I'm saying that if you're, you know, they're in the uppermost class of graphics cards. You're still getting way more powerful graphics cards than your average graphics card would be. Storage is another huge thing. A lot of people have said, obviously, you know, in something this small, you cannot fit physical hard drives. The old Mac Pro had 4 internal hard drive bays that you could open up the thing and swap them in and out. The new Mac Pro does not have that. The new Mac Pro doesn't have hard drives. It's got SSDs, but once again, the SSDs are not like in the cases that you would normally have. The SSDs, this is the exact same thing that's in like the MacBook Pro. Flash storage chips are actually physically on the motherboard. And a lot of people look at that and they say, wow, that's not very powerful, because it's the same thing that the iPad and the iPhone are using, and it is, because that's how they put this stuff on there too. They say, wow, yeah, that's the same technology that the iDevices are using. That must not be very powerful. It's still flash memory, though. It's still a solid-state drive. Even if it's not in the solid-state drive case, it is still flash storage. It's just connected right to the motherboard. Can you swap that out? No. And once again, I'll get to this. So the first complaint people have said is, this stuff is right on the motherboard. Since it's integrated, it must not be powerful, which is not true. Because this is the same stuff. This is high class. Like, even though it's all connected right to the motherboard, it is still the professional grade stuff. I'm not sure how else to explain that, because it's just like that's that. That is all there is to say about it. It's the same stuff. The second complaint people really have is that professionals need expandability, which I agree with. And, you know, there's not PCI card slots in here. There's not hard drive bays in here. How the heck are we supposed to expand this? And that's going to be a really, really big change, just to the general market. However, it's been coming for a long time. If you look at the Mac Mini, right now the Mac Pro was last updated in 2010, and it's using some pretty old processors. The Mac Mini has the newest processors. In terms of benchmark tests, the Mac Mini sometimes beats the Mac Pro. And if you look at the two, the current Mac Pro and the Mac Mini is like, you know, a little box. The Mac Pro is this huge, giant box. Yet the Mac Mini still wins in some of the benchmarks. I'm not saying all of them, but some of them. Just because it's got the more powerful processors. Size is not the most important thing in computers. In the Mac Mini, you cannot open up and put PCI cards in. You cannot open up and put more hard drives in. The Mac Mini is kind of locked down as well, just like this is, and a lot of people are saying, well, yeah, this is just another Mac Mini, which, in a way, it is. It's small, everything's on the motherboard, and you can't really expand it internally. What people don't understand, what I don't understand, is why people don't like this notion of, in the past, if you needed more storage, you pop in another hard drive into the computer, like inside the physical computer. However, there's this magical thing called external hard drives. And in the past, you might have argued those are slow. They can't deliver full performance, and they're just not as good for use in general. And with USB 2.0, that might have been true. USB 2.0 was slower, noticeably slower than internal hard drives. However, eSATA is an option. eSATA is always, well, is there eSATA on this? Okay, the new Mac Pro does not have eSATA in it. However, you've got other options now. And these are options that have just come out in the past few years. But USB 3.0, for one. Let me tell you, I've got a USB 3.0 hard drive, and it is almost as fast as an internal hard drive. I won't say it's just as fast, but it is 1,000 times better than USB 2.0. USB 3.0 will deliver for you. If you've been held down in the past with USB 2.0 speeds, USB 3.0 is... I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's just getting to the point where you no longer really need internal connectors as much as you used to. You can plug in a USB 3.0 hard drive, use it for everyday use. It's going to be fast enough for most of what professionals are doing. Most of what professionals are doing. That's not even talking about the consumer. Professionals can use USB 3.0 and the speeds will be sufficient. Another thing is Apple's new Thunderbolt 2. I don't even know the difference between Thunderbolt and Thunderbolt 2. I do know that Thunderbolt, Apple's new, port, guess it replaced FireWire in a way, but Thunderbolt is, I think it's faster than USB 3.0. Thunderbolt is, I'm just going to say it, Thunderbolt is the speed of internal hard drives. Whether or not the numbers are the same, whether or not the benchmarks come back with the same results, in effect, Thunderbolt drives, a hard drive that you plug into the outside of your computer using the Thunderbolt connector, is just as fast as an internal hard drive for doing whatever it is that you need to do. So, really, the question I have is, why do we need to have stuff inside the computer? I'm not saying we can't have stuff inside the computer. The tower case design has worked great for years, for decades. And I love the tower design. I've got a tower, I put hard drives and graphics cards and stuff in it, and it works great. But when a company comes out with something like this, that is still at least 10 times more powerful than my tower, then what's the benefit of the tower? If this is more powerful, then why can't we just plug stuff into the outside? Why do we need to connect things inside? Some people have said, oh, well, that's a lot of cable clutter. You're plugging stuff in on the outside so you might see the cables more, but you've still always been plugging things in on the inside of your computer. You don't just put the hard drive into the case and it magically comes to life. You still have to plug it in inside the computer. And some people say, oh, well, external things take up more space. Well, in the past, that might have been true. If you have a tower and you put an external hard drive next to it, that takes up more space. But if instead of a tower, you've got just a small little cube, or small little cylinder, then, really, in the space that would have been used for a tower, you can fit your cylinder and your external hard drives and whatever you may need. And there aren't just external hard drives, there are external enclosures that you can use internal hard drives with at pretty much internal speeds. There's just so many options. Really, the point of this video wasn't just to, I guess, part of the point of this video was to tell you about the new Mac Pro. But the point of this video really was to explain, or to try to explain why we really don't need everything to be on the inside of the case. Because I've heard so many people complaining about the new Mac Pro, about how crappy it is, just because it doesn't support internal expandability. But you really need to take into consideration all those ports on the outside. In this day and age, you really do need to take into consideration what ports the computer has on it. Because if it's got USB 3.0, if it's got Thunderbolt, if it's got Gigabit Ethernet, those things matter. And those things can be used as alternatives to SATA. And I guess no professional would use IDE anymore, but yeah, I just wanted to, if you're one of the people who complained about this, leave a comment. Why not? The case is smaller, so we have enough room for our external hard drives. We might have more cords on the outside of the case, but we don't have as many on the inside of the case. Why can't we just use external expandability? Why do we need internal expandability for our computers if the internal stuff works perfectly fine anyway? So answer me that, either in the comments or at forums.nerdofthestreet.com. I'm going to start trying to get 2 videos per week out, just because I have been slowly growing over the past few weeks, and I would like that to keep up. So yeah, just every weekend I'll try and do 2 videos. Check out the new nerdonthestreet.com, as well as the Nerd on the Street forums, the blog, the articles, just everything at nerdonthestreet.com. Thanks once again to Melinda Grigg for helping me with graphics development and web development for that. I hope I got my point across here. I'm Jacob Kau, and I'm Nerd on the Street, and I will see you later. See ya.